Hi everyone, welcome to part 3. Okay, Svidler has just played rook d4, gaining a tempo on the queen. Grischuk answered with queen h5, which is a good active square for the queens, supporting d5 pawn, attacking h2, attacking d1, and this keeps black in the game. Svidler continued with rook f4, with the idea of playing bishop d4 check and creating threats on the dark squares in conjunction with the rooks. And this is another reason why queen h5 is good. If black had played queen h3 instead, then white is going to have rook takes g6 if the king ever goes to g8. Sorry, f8 after a bishop d4 check. So Grischuk now elected to give up not only his d-pawn but also the exchange with d4, which hands white the advantage. Better was the rook a b8, allowing bishop d4 check, where black can safely play king g8. The problem here is that white has now blockaded the pawn, and it's impossible for black to open the d file anytime soon, which he wants for his rooks. Also, white gets to keep the dark squared bishop, which will be a powerful piece and provide for tactical ideas on the black king. This line is preferred by the engines as it keeps the material balance more level. Grischuk's choice is the human one, and it was a gutsy decision because it takes pieces off the board, which will favor white. So Svidler accepted the pawn after d4. He played bishop takes d4 check, and Grischuk now continued with his idea rook takes d4, which the engines also recommend after d4 is played. We can have a look at why this is the case. Let's say black plays instead king g8. Now bishop c4 with the threat of bishop takes f7 check is very strong for white. Black has to play rook d7 to defend, where follows rook g4 with the idea of simply playing rook h4 and rook h8 mate. And black is going to have to give up his queen to stop this idea, after which of course the game is won for white. For example, rook a d8. If instead queen takes h2, then rook takes g6 check exploits this pin, forces king h7, where rook g4 with rook h4 check coming is decisive. So rook g4 and rook a d8, and now king g1 to defend the h pawn, with knight e4 coming next, knight f6 check after that, and black is going to lose the queen here. It's got no way to save it, and white is going to win of course after that. So rook takes d4, rook takes d4, and now rook b8, putting some pressure on the white position and tying the knight to the defense of the bishop. Svidler dealt with this by playing a4, where white is still better, but the engines preferred rook d5, attacking the queen. And given the exposure of the white king, it's hard to play such a move, but white has no loose pieces and he's not getting mated with the bishop here on b5, preventing any checks on e8, so this move was the best. It allows queen f3 check, and it feels that there's some tactical danger for white, but objectively there's none. Best play goes rook f2, queen h1 check, forcing king e2, and now queen c1 applies the most pressure to white, but he still enjoys a nice advantage here. The problem is that in order to defend the b2 pawn, white must now move his king into the open. King d3 is best, and white is winning, but it's hard to go into such a line when you have to calculate everything over the board. If white drops a piece, then of course black is better and probably winning. Best play here continues a6, bishop takes a6, rook takes b2, rook takes b2, queen takes b2, a4, queen takes h2, a5, and both players will be racing to get new queens with f5 coming, but white is still ahead Play might continue after f5, bishop b7. It's a nice move. It supports the queening square here on a8 and takes control of an important diagonal. It's going to help block these pawns too in their progress. Black's best move now is queen g3 check. If instead f4, white's close to winning after a6. And how does black stop the a pawn? Knight b5 is coming next to support a7. So queen g3 check is better. So king c2, queen g2 check, king b3, queen g1, now a6, and again knight b5 is coming next, and white is winning because his pawn queen's first. So obviously there are a lot of variations and different things black can try there. It's what I found when I was analyzing, and it should be winning for white. I think rook d5, but obviously there are millions literally of variations, so you can be sure Grischuk would have found something that may be possible to create perpetual check or something, but when I checked it with the engine I didn't find anything. So anyway, Grischuk now continued with a6, and Svidler snapped up the pawn with bishop takes a6, but this was wrong, and we'll see why in a moment. Better was bishop e2, although as before it's a gutsy decision because black is pretty active. After queen f5 check, rook f2, queen h3 check, king g1, and rook takes b2, but white can play now knight d1, which keeps everything covered. But after rook b1, rook d6 attacks a6, so a5, and now rook df6 attacking f7, so rook b7, but white doesn't have much to play for here. He can pick up the a5 pawn with rook a6, but black can pick up the a4 pawn in turn, and it actually leads to quite a static position with neither side able to make much progress. It's risky for white to try and continue attacking, or for black to advance his kingside pawns. However, this is preferable to white compared to the game continuation. If we return to it, bishop takes a6, and queen f3 is how Grischuk continued, but this was inaccurate. White has two loose pieces here, the bishop and the rook, and this is exactly the kind of factor that can make the queen decisive. Black could have played queen e5 here, attacking the rook, and after, for example, rook e4 comes queen f6 check, picking up the bishop. So king g1, now queen takes a6, and although white has everything covered for now, black will definitely be better for the remainder of the game. For example, rook d2, you know, white is very solid and there are no weaknesses that black can attack easily, and as before neither side can make progress without taking significant risks. And it's probably a draw, but black can press and he's got lots of ideas. For example, rook b3 prevents any b4 ideas. Now rook e2 and f5, and this passed pawn is problematic for white, so this may well have been Grischuk's best chance, and it's a real surprise that he missed the move queen e5, playing instead queen f3 check. Okay, that's the end of part 3.